Hi, I'm Gulraj Shahpuri. I'm a leadership trainer and coach. I help companies create and empower leaders. And today we're going to have a talk on one of my favorite subjects, which is called the 4 C's of charisma. Now, it's going to be a 4-part talk, and here's the first one. It's called confidence. Now, confidence to me has been a journey. It's that belief in oneself that I have struggled for many years. Now, confidence to me always seemed like something that, well, I wasn't born with. I always felt it was something either you have or you don't have. I never really realized it's something you could go and get. And I always thought, well, oh, that person's so confident. I wish I had a sense of confidence. I wish I could talk to people like that. I wish I could go up and approach people like that. Since I thought confidence was something you're born with, that actually set me back a lot. And these type of mistakes can be very dangerous because it makes us feel that, you know what, I just don't have it and I just don't have it. I later on realized it's something you can go and get it, and you can get it from the internet, you can get it from books, you can learn a lot of things, because confidence, I figured out later on, is a combination of skill and practice. And I talk about this in my other talks as well. When you have the skills, because you can learn them from a lot of places, you can learn them by watching others, you can learn them from books, you can learn them from a lot of places. And when you practice those, when you deeply practice, then it becomes you, and you become a tremendously self-confident person because you become very sure of yourself. Now, confidence afterwards becomes this aura that you have or you don't have, and it's better, of course, to have that aura because everybody else sees it too. One of the best things about confidence, guys, is it can be faked. Because when you fake it till you make it, you've heard that phrase before, right? In case you have, great. In case you haven't, well, you're hearing it now. You can fake confidence, guys. And when you fake it, and when you fake it well, because when you practice it and practice it, then it looks awesome. But when you don't practice it, it looks rehearsed and it looks fake. So if you fake it well, you get away with it, and you know what, it becomes you. You will see movie stars have done this all the time. They become the roles that they play because they've been faking it on screen, and all of a sudden that day when they go to a dinner party or when they go to a social function, well, they become that. And you can too. If you just see what others are doing, and if you just pick up on that, or if you've learned a skill and you've practiced it enough times, even if it's not you yet, you just behave like it that night. And one day you'll realize, my God, you look back, you've become all of those things that you were just pretending to be, because that's how everybody knows you and that's how you know yourself. Think about confident people that you know and ask yourselves, well, what would so-and-so do? What would that person do in a situation where you're feeling nervous? You know what? If you just start to behave that way, you become that. And one of the things that I saw one time that was very interesting to me was, it was kind of like a social experiment. I went to my children's school and my daughter was getting some type of award. It was an investiture ceremony for becoming the house captain. So there was 4 houses and 4 kids were called up. I was sitting right at the front. And I saw something that I thought was very interesting. Her name was called first, so she came up and she stood a little awkward. She stood like this. She didn't know how to stand because this was one of the first times she had been called up like this. Another kid came and he stood kind of like this, and then the 3rd child was called and she stood like this, and the 4th child wasn't called because he was absent that day. But in our family, things don't end there, because when the kids came home, I'd taken a picture of this scene and I'd put it on a thumb drive and I'd put it in the TV, and now it was a big size, and the kids came home and they said, well, what's this? And I said, well, this was the investiture ceremony today. Look at this. Doesn't it look great? And my daughter said, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed. Look at the way I was standing. And I got both the kids to sit down and I said, well, let's talk about all the kids. And I said, well, what does the first girl look like, which was my daughter? And my daughter just said, well, Papa, look at the way I was standing. I feel so embarrassed. And I said, well, what is it about this kid that makes them feel that way? What do you think this kid looks like or feels like right now? And my daughter said, well, I felt awkward. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I said, what about the second child? Remember the one who was standing like this? What does this kid look like? And my son said, well, he looks a little unsure of himself. He has no clue what he's supposed to do there. And the 3rd child that was standing like this, I said, well, what do you think this kid is feeling? And my son said, feeling? I don't know what this child is feeling. I can tell you what they look like. And I said, let's do this. Before you tell me what this child looks like, why don't you stand up, both of you guys, why don't you stand up, and why don't you stand exactly like this child? And then they both did. And I said, what are you feeling now? Did you know they were able to accurately describe exactly what that child looked like and felt like, because they realized that when they stood up and they stood like that child, they started feeling like what that child was feeling. So I said, well, let's go backwards then. Let's talk about the second child who was standing like this. Why don't you guys stand like this? What do you feel like? Well, my son said, I really feel unsure about myself right now. And my daughter said, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And I said, well, when you stand like this, what do you feel? And then they both said, yeah, it looks pretty awkward and it feels pretty awkward too. This goes to show that what you feel like is actually a reflection of what you are on the outside. And that means this can be flip-flop, because if you're feeling a little unconfident and you stand in a pose in which you feel otherwise confident, like, I joke around about the Superman pose in which you're standing like this and you feel like there's a cape flying behind you, you actually start to feel confident because you feel like you're getting energy from the ground. I don't know if that's energy from the ground, but you just feel a lot more confident. And if you stand like this, even though otherwise you were feeling okay, actually it'll break your confidence. So guys, now whenever you're entering a room or a party or anywhere you go and you just stick out your chest a little bit and you walk a little more confidently, you know what? It becomes you. And now I'm just not saying this. This is said by a lot of people. In fact, go watch a video by Amy Cuddy. It's one of the most famous, most watched TED Talks of all time. And it's incredible because you feel exactly what you look like and you look like exactly how you feel. These things go both ways, because what happens is that your emotions respond to how you feel on the outside, what you look like on the outside. So if you're going to smile, you're going to become a lot more happier. And if you frown, you're going to become a lot sadder. It takes a lot of muscles to frown, and it just takes a few to smile. Guys, whenever you're feeling a little down, and if you just fake a smile, you're actually going to feel pretty good. And don't do it the other way around, because there's really no point. So guys, watch that TED Talk by Amy Cuddy. You're going to be glad you did it. So let's quickly summarize. Confidence is that belief in yourself, and it actually comes from within, but it's a combination of skill and practice, and you can fake it till you actually make it. So then you start getting that confident aura, so that when you walk into a room, everybody feels you're confident. Everybody knows you're confident, even though you might just be faking it really well on the inside. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn, do hit that share button. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do subscribe to the channel. And look out for the other 3 videos on the 4 C's of confidence. This was the first one. There's 3 more coming ahead.